George Galloway has won the Rochdale by-election. Labour thrown into chaos when the party withdrew support from its candidate for repeating a conspiracy theory that Israel was complicit in the massacre of its own people.
That George Galloway is duly...
A stunning Commons comeback by George Galloway and Keir Starmer's worst nightmare.
Keir Starmer, this is for Gaza. You have paid and you will pay a high price.
Wait for Gaza! Come on, Gaza!
Rob, well done.
Wait for Gaza, yeah! Wait for Gaza! Come on, Gaza! I'm waiting, yes!
George Galloway, riding the radical Islamist cloud, win elections in Rochdale, and self-proclaimed enemies and haters of Britain celebrate.
Breaking. George Galloway has won in Rochdale, beating Labour, Tories, Reform UK by a huge margin. This ground-shaking win was achieved thanks to a major push by local Muslims aiming to help Gaza. The mainstream media were so glum as they realized that George Galloway had smashed it in Rochdale. Absolutely delighted to have witnessed their misery in person.
5 pillars headed back up to Rochdale for the key by-election battle. Major updates have sparked a tornado of activity as the 2 underdog candidates now scrap for the win after the Labour Party ditched their candidate.
Now, of course, we've been covering it over the past couple of weeks, and in particular, George Galloway, the pro-Palestine candidate, is hoping for a major win here after some scandal involving the Labour Party candidate and what appears to be a pretty poor attempt to run here by, for example, the Tory party. Roshan, let me bring you in straight away and get your opinion. How are you feeling? What's your reaction since we've been here for a couple of hours now?
I think the stakes are quite high. For the Muslim vote. Everyone's talking about the Muslim vote in the media. Everyone's talking about the Muslim vote nationally. And I think today is a crunch test. If Galloway wins, then the Muslim vote is a real thing. It will send shockwaves through the political establishment here in Rochdale and in the wider country. It will punish the Labour Party, all those genocide enablers. It will send a clear message that Muslims are going to punish those candidates, those politicians that support the Israeli genocide in Gaza, and that we will reward politicians who are pro-Palestine.
It's such a divisive campaign that's being run in Rochdale, but we have to remember that, you know, one side is standing with Gaza amid a genocide and is talking against genocide. You know, the Galloway team, whether you like him or not, he is condemning genocide, and that he's made that a focus point of his campaign. The other side is saying, oh, we don't care about that. We don't care about
Let's
Gaza.
talk about gutters in Rochdale.
Yeah, let's talk about gutters in Rochdale. And it's like, oh, okay, well, you're talking about divisive politics. As far as I know, that was the first time Simon Danchuk even bothered to show up in a Muslim-majority area of Rochdale. Might be wrong, but it didn't appear that way. So, you know, you want to talk about divisive politics, Reform UK, what they've been saying about Islam, and the leader of the party, Richard Tice, I believe his name is, he said on GB News, Sharia law and anyone practicing it should be outlawed in the UK. He said there should be laws implemented to ban Sharia in the UK.
I actually think we need a law that explicitly says that no one can conduct in any walk of life in the United Kingdom Sharia law.
That's Reform UK for you.
As Muslims, we're all
5 Pillar reader or viewer, or even someone who doesn't watch 5 Pillars very much, might look at this by-election and be like, what's the big deal? Why is there so much hype? Why is there so much attention being given to this? Well, the fact of the matter is that this is the first opportunity for Muslims to put their action where their mouth is, and basically try to punish politically the Labour Party, as well as cause a wider sort of storm here, a political revolution, if you like, by getting someone in to Westminster who's staunchly pro-Palestine, staunchly anti-Zionist, and to represent real Muslim issues on this key area of Gaza. Perhaps you could elaborate on that. Why is this so important?
I think you said it all there, basically. The only thing I would add is that I don't think we should kid ourselves as Muslims that we can stop Keir Starmer from becoming Prime Minister. We're not kingmakers in that sense. However, we can punish several pro-genocide Labour and Tory MPs around the country. We can kick them out, like West Streeting and a few others. We can we can scare people like.
In light of the recent hysteria caused by politicians and the mainstream media of Islamists trying to subvert British democracy, Five Pillars Deputy Editor Dilly Hussein writes an open letter to white nationalists and patriots.
Ash, Adu, Anna, Muhammadan, Rasulullah,
Abdul Rasulullah, right? So fantastic, David. 100% you've entered the fold of Islam. You're a complete Muslim now, right?
Today isn't promised, tomorrow isn't promised, so I wanted to change myself, especially before I turn back to Allah, because I don't want to turn back to Allah with all these sins. I want to be a good person. I want to be a person in Jannah, and may Allah guide us all to Jannah as well.
Assalamu alaikum, Robert Carter reporting here for Five Pillars. Now I'm outside Bond Street Station in central London, where there's a really unique initiative underway here. The IERA Dawah team is doing some Dawah, inviting people to Islam, educating the general public about the beautiful religion in the key locations across the capital today. Now, as we currently stand, we live in a time where the fear factor is at an all-time high. People are talking about World War III on social media. The situation in the Middle East is as bad as it's ever been, with the genocide in Gaza, and it looks like it's going to turn into a regional conflict. It already has. We've also been through the...
There's something strange going on with George Galloway's campaign. He's been accused of coming to this town to use the concerns of Muslim voters to get himself elected, and it's something he has denied rigorously. He says this is a campaign to win the votes of everyone in the town to help fix public service issues and to clean up Rochdale. However, it seems that he's only targeting one specific religious group and using Gaza and Palestine as their main campaign material. Today, I went on the campaign trail inside George Galloway's core team, who spent the day canvassing. They told me this morning that they would be leafleting totally at random, block by block, around Rochdale. No one in particular being targeted, no residents with any affiliations. As they went door to door, I noticed the driver who was directing the volunteers which houses to attend, 14, 15, 25.
So look, can we get, Dave, 7, we've got 8, 11, 7, 8, 11, and I'll hit 13.
I'm going to follow you if that's okay. And taking them to specific streets, had a piece of paper with a printout of the electoral register. At the top of that piece of paper had a filter Muslim. So how far away is the next place?
Just low. They're all local.
So what is determining like where you're going at the moment? Is it just people who registered? Hello, how are you?
I'm all right. Who are you?
This is Byline TV. So you've been accused in the past by various media outlets of targeting and canvassing specifically to Muslim residents of this town. Is that true?
They would say that, wouldn't they? They're all part of the hate machine. They want to turn people in Britain against Muslims.
So I think we shouldn't exaggerate. But I think there is a narrative that Melanie, I must say, has been portraying over the years, that, you know, this idea that the Muslims are taking over and Sharia law is, you know, creeping Sharia law.
I mean, I just see them as potential Muslims. You know, that's like, you know, I see a pub as a future mosque. That's what I'm here to do. You know, not to keep this country, not to be a minority in this country, in a non-Muslim majority country. I want this country to become Muslim, obviously through a process of dawah and not through violence or anything like that.
You know, this idea that the Muslims are taking over and Sharia law is, you know, creeping Sharia law.
I mean, I just see them as potential Muslims. You know, that's like, you know, I see a pub as a future mosque.
I mean, I think the question for Britain would be, do you actually have the British values? That's the main thing. It doesn't matter if you're...
I don't feel British at all. Okay. Yeah, I never have done. I've always felt an alien in this country. Sorry if that shocks you, but I just don't feel British at all. I feel Muslim first and foremost, always have done. Even when I was young, I didn't feel British. But England, there's an issue with England. Yeah. And the way Muslims are treated in England specifically. That's why I would never support England at football. That's why I love it when Argentina beat England on penalties at football.
SubhanAllah. Yeah. So I think we shouldn't exaggerate.
Yeah. And a lot of British Muslims, if they think they can just live comfortable lives here, you know, for the rest of their lives, have a nice car, nice job, nice house, chill out on the weekends, whatever, they're in for a rude awakening. because the price of that is you give up your Islam.
You know, this idea that the Muslims are taking over and Sharia law is, you know, creeping Sharia law. And I think if I spoke about Jews the way that Melanie speaks about Muslims, then I would be hung, drawn and quartered for anti-Semitism.
You've just proved my point. Any criticism of Islam is called Islamophobia.
You go much further than that.
I have criticised aspects of Islam, and especially Islamist extremism and Islamist totalitarian instincts and what I would call Islamofascism. For that, I am called Islamophobic.
Yes.
What I have said is based on evidence and truth. Anti-Semitism is based on lies. That is the difference. There is no equation that should be reasonably made
well, I think we should all be treated equally.
And anti-Semitism.
I don't want to poke fun at Jews.
No, truth
I don't want
and
to poke
lies
fun at any
cannot
religion,
be equated.
And I just want Muslims to be treated the same as everyone else in this society.
Only a peace treaty can provide a framework for enduring peace and security. I'm sorry, Mr. Galloway?
You said we. Are you an Israeli?
I am, yes.
I don't debate with Israelis. I've been misled. Sorry.
What? Racism?
What? Racism? I don't recognize Israel, and I don't debate with Israelis.
He's a person. He's a Briton. He's a human being.
Keir Starmer, this is for Gaza. You have paid and you will pay a high price for the role that you have played in enabling, encouraging, and covering for the catastrophe presently going on in occupied Palestine in the Gaza Strip.
Yeah, that's the lie you want to say to yourself, George, to hide the fact that you are in kissing basis with the people who actually orchestrated the war in Gaza. As you were best bros with evil dictators and just about every enemy of Britain and the West.
Your courage, your strength, your indefatigability. I can honestly tell you that there was not a single person to whom I told I was coming to Iraq and hoping to meet with yourself who did not wish me to convey their heartfelt, fraternal greetings and support.
You are not a British MP, George. You are an enemy of Britain, infiltrated the British Parliament. That's who you are, George. And the masks finally came down. 1 is a coincidence. 2 is humanitarian. 3 might be, I don't know. But if you consistently cheer and argue for the enemies of Britain, then it stops being a coincidence. Sir, and sit down, you idiot. Let's see some more of your voters.
Train schedule.
Yeah.
People are dying in Gaza, man. What the hell? I don't give a rat's backside about your train schedule or your pleasant afternoon walk in central London being ruined because of these students waving Palestine flags.
Party is incredibly high right now. Muslims are furious. They are angry. They feel betrayed at the fact that the Labour Party and its leadership, and I think that it's about time the Muslims put their foot down and said no to Labour and boycotting what's become a right-wing, racist, pro-Israel, pro-apartheid brand, which is literally.
But it's interesting. I mean, Remembrance Day. I mean, I don't know what your poppy is for a start, Robert. Why haven't got your poppy on? And absolute disgrace.
I know. What can I say? There is a type of poppy which we're going to discuss, which I might wear. It's a Palestine poppy, which is round up the right wing very much so. But
the Remembrance Day itself is interesting, isn't it? Because obviously, no one really knows what it's all about now, and they just associate it with the right wing. It's supposed to commemorate the First and Second World Wars, and the First World War in particular. And I think Muslims, we need to know our history, because the First World War, there's nothing to be happy about or commemorate in terms of us, apart from disaster. I mean, literally, the First World War was probably the biggest disaster for the Muslim world since the Mongol invasions, 900 years previously, because it led to the basically the destruction of the Caliphate, which has existed since Rasulullah in Medina, which was a shade for the Muslims, which was the superpower, the world superpower for all those years. And it also led to the occupation of Palestine by the British and subsequently to the creation of Israel. So literally World War I was an absolute disaster for us. Unfortunately, lots of Muslims fought in those wars for colonial powers because so many of our nations were colonized by the British. And probably hundreds of thousands of Muslims, if not more, died in those wars, ultimately for colonial powers. They shouldn't have fought in those wars. My own granddad, who wasn't a Muslim, he died in that war, by the way, as well. He died in the Second World War, was blown up on a ship in the Mediterranean, fighting for the British. And I say clearly that my granddad and other people, they died in vain in those wars.
George Galloway, you are a disgrace for Britain. You are a radical leftist idiot. You are supported by the worst people. I know, like this idiot, Jackson Hickey, I don't know what his name. What can we say about you, my friend? You are the worst scum in UK. Okay, you are not British at this point. You are just an enemy of Britain infiltrating the UK Parliament. That's who you are. Okay? Okay? Hating your own civilization, anti-Western bigot, supporting the supposed underdog, whoever it is. That is just radical leftist mental disease. It's not heroism. Thank you very much.